further ado, because our mornings are short, I am going to turn our class over today to our speaker from the Department of Banking, Kathleen Titsworth, who's going to be talking about identity theft. Hi, Kathleen. Oop, I muted you. I'm sorry.
There we go. Thanks so much for having me, Maria. I'm really happy to join. I've participated in Money Madness in the past when it was in person, and this is just, it's great that you guys are all still able to participate in this. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we could go right into the program. All right. And let me just do a little adjustment here. Okay, great. All right, so identity theft and cybersecurity is our topic today. So basically, I just want to kind of start off. We live in the digital age. You all know that. You all grew up with this, and it's really second nature. But there's still a lot of, when it comes to protections and security, I don't know if we're really, I think it's something we maybe sometimes learn through trial and error a little bit. But it's definitely an important thing. You know, that photo there is from the Middle Ages. No cell phones. We don't dress like that anymore. Things are much different. We're all using our cell phones. Our information is out there. They also call this the information age. So we just want to kind of lay the groundwork. We just want to be careful with being online. And that's why I want to introduce you if you haven't learned about it before, or hopefully this will be a really nice review. And also, I hope you learned something new today. But I'm going to talk about identity theft because ultimately, with our information out there in the cyber world, you know, it's there. It's whether we do online transactions or online banking or things. Our doctor's office uses it. You know, stores use it, and we use credit cards. So they're storing our information. You know, when you get a job and you're working, just everything, you know, gone are really the days of people kind of keeping things on pencil and paper anymore. Everything is really going to online. We all know we go to the doctor or the dentist, they're using iPads now, and it makes sense because things are quicker. The information is stored very securely. However, we still have to do our due diligence, and that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about. So identity theft, in essence, is somebody using your personally identifying information. So that would be your name, a social security number, because that personally identifies you. We each have one social security number. Your bank or credit card number, a bank account number is certainly identifiable to you, or there might be some other identifying information. They use this without your knowledge or permission. That's the key. You know, if you give someone your credit card and they use it, you know, you can't say, I was just a victim of identity theft. Well, you gave them your card. But if someone steals it, or if someone uses your card without your knowledge, and they do it and you don't even know they do it, this is identity theft. And so what's the big deal? They take your, you know, they've got your name now, and they've got your address and maybe your social security number. What's that going to do to me? Well, what can happen is that these people will create phony documents, fake documents that they could use and pretend they're you. They could go shopping. They could may have credit cards made. They could take out loans in your name, go out and buy a car, you know, go out and run your credit. And if it's good because, you know, you're a student and you haven't really had opportunity to have bad credit yet, they may go off to the car lot, try out a bunch of different cars and walk away. And by the time the bill comes and you realize that you've been a victim of this, they're gone because they haven't used their own name. They might even make counterfeit checks, just go on a shopping spree in your name. So we really need to learn how to protect ourselves from this. So first of all, well, how do they do it? Old-fashioned stealing, you know, hey, if you leave your wallet or your purse somewhere and or your phone and they're able to hack into it, there's a theft occurring. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of the term dumpster diving. It sounds so, to me, it sounds so old fashioned. like who would do this? But they literally go through your trash. And where they find a lot of information is the big dumpsters outside businesses. So this is why most businesses, if not all, shred personal information, anything that would have social security numbers on it, or banks, certainly any type of bank account information or anything, the information is shredded very securely. But if you're home and one of the things that come in the mail, I don't know if you're aware of, but they're offers of credit. They're pre-screened offers of credit. So you may get something in your name, or your parents may get something, and all you do is fill it out and send it in, and you automatically approved for a credit card. Well, if you don't want it, a lot of times you just tear it in half and throw it away. But these people, or say you have old bills from last month and you just throw them away without shredding them. These people may go into your trash and go through the trash and tape it all together and send it in that way. So it sounds kind of crazy, but there's nothing these identity thieves won't do, because what they can get out of it, in fact, if they can access your bank account or your social security and just create new credit, there's no limit to what they could do. I'm also going to talk to you guys about the telephone solicitations, skimming, phishing, online scams also. I think they would pertain to you guys a lot. I have some good examples. And I'm not really going to go into, but security breaches are a big way. And unfortunately, those are beyond our control. So that's why I'm not going to really talk about the security breaches today. All right, so telephone scams. Probably the most common, particularly among older people. They fall victim to this because they're a little more trusting, and they answer their phone. They have a home phone still. Although I have to say, I get a lot of scam calls. I don't know about you guys, on my cell phone. In the past year, they kind of stopped when the pandemic started. And I actually Googled that because I was sent home just about a year ago, and I've been working from home, and I really thought I'd get a lot of scam calls. And for the first month, it was pretty quiet. And I Googled, and the scammers were all home because their big place of business, because of the pandemic, they weren't going into work. So the scam robocalls actually had stopped for a while, but they're back up. They're worse than ever because I get them on my cell phone several times a day. And what they do is they use several different forms, but ultimately they're all going to want the same thing. They're going to want you to give up personal information, and that they could use to steal your identity. The family emergency scam. That's one where a lot of people, they call it the grandparent scam, because like I said, it affects older people a lot more. They tend to be like I said, they're usually more available. Most of us aren't around during the day. But this family emergency would be somebody calling your home, and your parent or a grandparent, or say they call someone else's home, an aunt and uncle, and they say, Grandma, I'm in trouble. I need help. And they'll say, Charlie, is that you? And yes, so they've given the name of the family member, and they say, well, it doesn't sound like you. They'll say, well, I was in a fight and I got punched in the mouth, and I just don't have time to talk about this, Grandma. I just need you to send money. I was in a fight, I'm arrested, I'm in a police station. And with these family emergencies, regardless of whether it's a grandparent, whether it's concern about a brother or sister or aunt and uncle, there's that concern, there's that fear that if I don't send this money right away, something's going to happen to my family member. They're going to be stuck in this jail, or they're going to be, they're not going to be able to get home, something like that. So what they're told to do is go to the bank, take out money. They're told maybe to buy gift cards and mail it. Often they're told to wire money. That's actually the most popular. That's the red flag here, is to wire money. And once that money goes, it's gone. So similarly, these other scams, the government imposter, it's somebody that calls and pretends they're with the government. It is tax season now, so they may pretend they're the IRS saying that you owe taxes. And people get scared when they think the government is calling, and so they just send the money. The tech support scam is one I've actually gotten, where the person claims they're from Microsoft and indicate that you have some kind of issue with your computer. And when it happened to me, of course, I was having an issue with my laptop. My kids were running around. I'm trying to make dinner, and I shouldn't have answered the phone, first of all. But, my guard was down a little bit, and I found myself going to the laptop and looking. And then I said, wait a minute, if I've ever had problems with my computer, Microsoft never calls, or Apple will never call me out of the blue. It just doesn't happen, when we need to remember that. So in this case, I told him, I took the nice tactic. I said, thank you very much. When I go into work tomorrow, I'm going to talk to my IT person, and, I appreciate the call. And he turned on me and got really angry. And in fact, I think he told me I was stupid if I don't work with him to fix this, because my computer, I'm going to lose everything. That's when I hung up the phone. So that's another indicator of a scam, is when they turn on you when you don't go along with what they want. And then there's also this lottery or prize scam. I'm going to actually share with you a text version of this, but they basically tell you you've won a prize and you just need to pay. You need to pay in order to collect the winnings. And you're thinking, well, that's ridiculous. Who would do that? But when you think about it, if you've been told you won a $10,000, all expense paid 7-day cruise for your whole family, and all you have to do is pay maybe $2,000 fee for all the, extra stuff and everything, or maybe just your flight down. They trick people that way. And some people, it's really enticing. So we just need to remember, the bottom line with all of these phone scams is any phone call you get out of the blue, we call them unsolicited, that you weren't expecting, are very likely a scam. And if you're unsure, the scam is when they want you to send money. Send money, send a gift card that has money on it. That's the scam. All right, I want to talk to you all about something called skimming. It's basically, it's using the ATM. Generally, it's the ATM. Sometimes it's the reader in a store, but what they'll do is put a fake reader, what they call it, and you see here, they're overlaying in the picture something that looks identical right on top of it. And I actually had a presentation given to our agency by a state police officer, and he was actually a state detective. And he told us some tricks. He said, if the banks and the credit unions, they're very good and they're very diligent about checking their ATMs. Like first thing in the morning, they check and they make sure. So it's not going to happen first thing in the morning. So kind of like the time of day, or like a lot of times during the day, they're checking it. So you're usually in good shape. A lot of times it's under the cover of darkness. So it's once everybody is left for the day and that ATM is kind of sitting there alone. So what you want to do is, if you're using an ATM, and I do this all the time now, you kind of just visually look. If anything looks taped or sort of wonky, whatever like that, that's a big, huge red flag, you could tell. But in some cases too, all you have to do is maybe kind of pull that little area there. They call it the card reader. See if it comes off. You want to check where the keypad is to see if anything seems like maybe there's like a overlay over the top of it. Like I said, look for something weird like tape or scratches. And when you put your card in, there shouldn't be any scraping. Your card goes in nice and smoothly. But then the other thing is, if they do get your card, they capture your card number. With an ATM, you also need to put in your PIN number. So this sounds really crazy, but what they would do is put a little camera somewhere up behind you so that they could read what you were typing in. So the detective told us, just take your hand and put it over where you type in your number. If at any time, even I find myself, if I go in and somebody comes in with me, you sort of turn your body, you don't want them to see, but you also just cover it with your name, with your hand. That's kind of a good way of protecting. But we also just say to people, use, like if this happens at the gas pump, I didn't even mention that. The gas pump is a very popular popular place for them to set these. We say use the ones closer to the door where the window is, where the people could see, because chances are when they put these on, they do it really quickly. So if they do it at a gas pump, they're going to do it at the farthest. They're going to pick one where there's like 12 and they're going to go to the farthest. And even with ATMs, they would use the ones that are less remote, say maybe in a convenience store. There's another issue with those ATMs because they also charge you more to use them. So I suggest avoiding ATMs in convenience stores at all costs if you can. But just remember, if you suspect tampering of it, avoid it and let that business know. If you see it at a gas station, let them know, or at the bank. Now, one thing you can do is if you use an ATM somewhere and it worked and you kind of felt comfortable, but then the next day you're thinking, or later that night, I don't know, something's, my gut is sort of telling me something maybe wasn't right. Review your statements, check them. You can even, if you don't have an online ability to check your bank account statements or anything, you can call, and you can usually go through the system and call, and they can list the transactions. And like I said, report it right away, because we don't want that to happen to anybody else as well. We also suggest reviewing your credit report, which I'm not going to get into with you guys today, but if you have questions on that later, definitely put them in the chat and let me know. So phishing emails, it's an email which looks like it's coming from a legitimate place. You guys, many of you may have heard of this before. You have to verify your information by clicking on a link. So my advice for emails is, if you get an unsolicited email, again, an email you're not expecting from an organization, maybe you do business with, maybe it's Amazon or Apple or something, the red flag is a link, because that link is either going to bring you to some kind of site that wants you to put in password, account information, things like that, and they're going to capture it. Or we've even heard that it might even put a virus on your computer or laptop or device. And then the only way to get rid of it is this amazing pop-up that asks for your credit card number. So they're still stealing it that way. So we want to be leery of these phishing emails. So a couple of examples. This was one I got on my cell phone, and it was to me, but it looked like it was from the post office, which was very strange because, you know, I have a regular mailbox outside my home. The mail person comes and delivers the mail. And if they can't make a delivery, they leave a little form. It's an official form that they leave. And then I usually have to go to the post office and pick it up. So everything about this email was strange. I wasn't expecting it. The email address, if you hover over it, and it works out better actually on a computer than on your phone, but when you hover over the address, so it says from United States Postal Service, but the actual email address was cjh9669@newyorkcity.com, not a valid email address for the post office. The other thing is, they're just saying they couldn't make a delivery. They sent me a message. Want me to click on that link. If I don't click on that link, there's several more links down below. Just remember, these hyperlinks are not valid. So we want to just delete phishing emails like this. If in doubt, I would suggest calling. In a case like this, you could call the post office, but I didn't even call because I knew this wasn't legitimate. I've got another example. This one came to me last fall, and this one kind of gave me pause because it was from Apple. And I live on my iPhone and my iPad, and we even have a iMac computer. Our computer is a Mac. And this one gave me a little bit of concern because it looked pretty legitimate. It gave me a case ID number. And it told me that if I didn't update information, my Apple ID would be permanently locked. Now, that's going to lock me out of apps. When we have a family sharing, it will lock the rest of my family out. So I was a little bit concerned about that with Apple. But again, I said, wait a minute, Apple doesn't send me emails. And I'm not going to click on this link because I know if I do, something bad could happen. So I Googled. And when I Googled, you know, I received an email from Apple telling me my Apple ID would be permanently locked. I put all that information in, and all of these responses appeared saying that this was a scam. So that's some advice I would give you all as well. If you get something, if you use PayPal or Venmo, I know you get an email or a text when you've made a transaction, but just look to see if that email or anything is a little bit different in what it's asking you for. and if there are links. Those are all the keys. And then I would just Google, and just a lot of times they give the examples. This one quick I wanted to share. This came to my work email, and this is a classic phishing scam. You may have heard people get emails from someone who claims to be a prince who wants to deposit money into the United States. This was a similar one, but last July they put a COVID angle on it. And the person claimed to be in China, in Wuhan, and her husband died, and his dying wish was to help people in the United States affected by COVID. So she wanted to deposit $5.3 million in my bank account. Okay. Definitely has phishing and a scam written all over it. So we want to delete it. Okay. There's also, really quickly, because I want to get my slides in, I want to get, definitely want to get to the texting ones. Email spoofing. I think we've all experienced that, where we get an email that looks like it's actually from one of our contacts, and it's just a really weird email that just has some kind of link in it they want you to click. So again, if it looks like it's from your friend and it's weird, just delete it. Text your friend, ask them what it's all about. All right, I'm going to pause here. I have this fun fact that if you can all use your chat and take a guess, there was a coin shortage last year. 2020 experienced a coin shortage. So I'm curious if any of you could guess why. Answer A is that the US Mint that produces coins decreased their production. B is because of coronavirus. Or C, that everyone just has jars and buckets of coins and they're hoarding them. So if you all want to put the answers into your chat, I'll give you guys a few minutes. Actually, let's see, I can see the chat here. I only see a few. You guys are smart. We have a few answering. Let's see, did somebody say B? I have a few B's, I have a few C's. A few people are saying it was all. I'll give you guys a few more seconds to put that chat in. I know you guys can earn tickets this way. All right, well, the answer is whoever said that it was all is correct. Yeah, it was a combination of everything. And the US Mint decreased their production because a lot of their employees were home because of COVID. So they had a staffing shortage. Of course, because of COVID, people weren't going to the stores, so they weren't paying and they weren't giving their coins. And a lot of people, you know, we all know everybody saves their coins. All right, when it comes to your cell phone, let's move kind of away from the traditional computer and everything. Your cell phone is a computer, so make sure you protect it. If you're not already doing so, auto lock, so that if you leave it on your desk, or if you leave it, you know, when you're at your friend's house on the table, it's locked. Because we have a lot on here. Believe it or not, even just your social media apps, you know, you password protect them. If anyone does banking or anything else on here, it's just your personal information that you just don't want to get out there. Even in your settings and everything, we've got our information and information about the phone. You want to install updates. It's really important, because think of it like a computer. When your laptop or your desktop computer needs updates, you run it. You know, in the working world, they run our updates automatically, and sometimes it's a pain. They try to do it at night. And with the cell phone, I find it to be a little bit of a pain, because it comes up and they want you to run it. Well, do it at night, right before bed, or just do it at a time when you know you have that time to run it, because it will prevent viruses. It will keep your computer safe, your cell phone, from hackers and apps especially. I want you to make sure to go into the app section and update your apps as well, because a lot of times you'll see, and they'll tell you why it works out, bug fixes and things like that. Know your Wi-Fi. If you're not using Bluetooth, turn it off, because it opens you up a little more susceptible to hackers. And you can Google that if you want, if you want to just check on that. But, you know, if you want to share pictures, turn the Bluetooth on, and you could do that, or other reasons for Bluetooth. But for the most part, you're just opening yourself up and your cell phone up. And be wary of the public Wi-Fi. When you're on public Wi-Fi, you're susceptible. So if you're able to just maybe check the internet, just do that. But when it comes to other things and when you're going into your apps, you're making yourself vulnerable by using public Wi-Fi. All right. And just understand what your apps are doing. Okay. Before you download, make sure you do your research, make sure it's a legitimate app and kind of know what they collect. All right. All right. So I had talked about text scams. They're very similar to the email scams, except they're coming into your phone. This is a text scam that I had gotten, and I was pretty happy at first. I was like, wow, $1,000 Amazon gift card. Just click here. Ding, ding, there goes my red flag. The other thing too, if you notice, and I didn't mention this with the emails, but a lot of times there's typos. They wrote congratulations instead of congratulations. Something little, but even at the bottom, the word, they're sort of like not a sentence. They just have the word is. Those are all really big red flags that something is a scam. But obviously with here, I didn't just win $1,000 gift card. Who has my cell phone number and why? What did I win? What is this all about? Was this something I entered over the weekend? No. So it's definitely a scam, and we want to avoid clicking on the link. Here's another one. This is a text scam that a high school student a couple of years ago shared with me. And they actually received this, and it made it sound like it was a girl that saw him and liked him. And she says, oh, text me back if you want to get to know each other. So if you get something like this, if you were out with friends and one of your friends shared your number, generally there's nothing wrong with this. And if you wanted to text the person back, there's sort of no harm. You could, but the problem with this is that link. And what she wants him to do is click that link. And it's going to either put a virus on his phone, like I said, or it's going to take him to, it's going to take him to some site where maybe she's going to convince him to buy something or get in on something, or that all of a sudden, oh no, security is an issue. We need to do this. So just be leery. The big thing is the link. Okay. All right. I'm going to talk a little bit about passwords here. I'm sure you've heard already, you want to have a very unique password. You shouldn't use just the default password that comes with whatever app or whatever you're logging into, or website. You don't want it to be the same for all accounts. I know that's hard. It's really hard. We must have 50 passwords, if that, easily. So a lot of times what we'll maybe, suggest is if you come up with a really good long password, and then you could sort of add tags onto the end for your various, you could have your nice long, whatever your password is for Facebook, and then, or Instagram, and then maybe have something that indicates that it's Instagram or whatever. Keep it confidential. And then this is the hard one too, is every so often they want you to change your passwords. If there's any kind of breach or anything, you definitely wanna change it right away. But we shouldn't be keeping the same social media passwords year upon year, because if we change them, then if someone does get it, then we change it. Well, okay, maybe they've had it for a while, but at least we're trying to keep that security up for ourselves. And two-factor authorization, if anything offers it, you should. I know online banking offers it. Many different websites that you go into now, or apps, offer the two-factor. Now, passwords shouldn't repeat letters or numbers or use certain patterns. I'm gonna give you some examples of the worst passwords to use. It says here they shouldn't use whole words or common phrases. It's definitely true. The common phrases are, if someone knows you and they know what you like, if you're a Red Sox fan, they're going to try Red Sox. They're going to capitalize. They're going to change the O to a 0. It's kind of the obvious things. If people know you, don't use the name of your dog, don't use your birthday, things like that. Also, if you have a PIN code number, it shouldn't be like your birthday or anything that's kind of a special date for you. Now, these are the worst passwords of 2020. Taken from a list of the top 100. And if you notice, In years past, they weren't so heavily keyboard oriented. I'm seeing, if you notice, so the first top 10, besides the word password, most of them are the numbers 1 through 9 in some sort of fashion, or you'll look, you see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 through 0. But then when you jump over to the next column of 11 through 20, you're seeing the keyboard. You're seeing, because you're saying, well, 1Q, 2W, 3E, that seems pretty difficult. But the keyboard, if you look on the keyboard, you have the 1 above the Q, the 2 above the W, the 3 above the E. And then the next one down even goes further, all the way over to 6. Down in the very bottom, number 20, is the whole Q through P, all the way across. So you think it looks difficult, but it really isn't. And the hackers they're gonna try these passwords first because they're the worst. They're the most common. Other passwords in the top 100, Pokemon is in there. And then like words like football, soccer, and then names. So names like Michael, I think I saw Daniel in there. So these are just, you don't want to stick to really common things like this. Strong passwords will be at least 16 characters. And you're like, 16 characters. But the longer it is, those hackers that are using automated things, it just takes that much longer. So if something requires an 8-character password, don't do 8, do like 12 or 16 if you can. Obviously, uppercase, lowercase, contain a number, special character, make it unpredictable. This one here is an example. A lot of times they say, come up with a phrase or a sentence, write it down, and then pull things out of it to make your password. So the one that I use there, I'm not going to read it, but if you look on the screen, that was taken from protect yourself from cybercrime and be safe online, exclamation. So those, I wanted to make sure to share this information with you guys about the passwords. So basically these protections, like I said, password protect your computer and your mobile devices. Shred, we talked earlier about the dumpster divers. Ask your parents if they have a shredder or if they're shredding things. If not, you could get that for them for Christmas. Staples, places like that, you could bring bags to be shredded. Spring cleaning, we all start cleaning out our files and things like that. Just anything you see that's got personal identifiable information on it, don't just throw away. You want to make sure you shred it. Social media, use your privacy settings to the fullest. And needless to say, you don't want to share personal information online or by phone or on social media. When I see someone put their cell phone number even just right in social media, I cringe. So keep things as private as possible. Before disposing of anything, clear your personal information off of it. And like I talked about earlier, you want to be careful of these phishing, the calls, the emails, or the texts. All right. And again, remember, you don't want to give out your personal information. You always need to know who you're talking to. And here's what I tell people all the time. Calls that come in, that caller ID may say a number. It may even say your doctor's office or your credit card company, but you don't ever really know. You may even think it's your sister or a family member. But when they start asking strange questions or wanting credit card banking information, they want you to go wire money, those are all huge red flags. So I always say with phone, email, text, social media, you don't actually know who that is if you are the one making the call or you are the one emailing. So you're thinking, well, what if I need to call and make a purchase? That's different because you've called that company. Just that is to keep in mind. Beware of the emails and the attachments or the links. If it's unsolicited, don't open it. If it looks like it's from a friend, you want to still be cautious. And then, like I said, just be very wary online. Just know these things. I even mentioned here, back up your files. So important to do. All right, I got one more fun fact before we conclude here, because it's getting close to the time. When did the first female banking commissioner serve? So I work at the Department of Banking. I didn't even really talk about my agency early on, but we have a banking commissioner that is appointed by the governor. And right now our commissioner is George Perez from New Haven. And, but I'm curious if any of you want to take a guess at this. Answer A is 1940, answer B is 1968, and C is 1984. So when did the first female banking commissioner serve? Oh, we got a lot of answers here. Let's see. I got a lot guessing B. Someone guessed a few guesses for A and C. Okay, a lot of, oh wait, I'm jumping to the first one there. All right. Well, the answer to this actually is none of the above. We have never had a female banking commissioner, I'm sorry to say. All of our commissioners have been men. We have a wall of portraits starting in black and white, and they're all men. So we're hoping we have a great commissioner now, but perhaps down the line in the future, we'll see a female banking commissioner. So this is my information. We are on Facebook, facebook.com, and we're at CTDOB. We also have a website that's got a lot of great educational resources and information, especially for the teachers out there. If you want to, from our homepage, you'll scroll down and there's a big image and it says educational resources. You'll go there. And I just want to thank you all for having me. This was, I hope, very informative, and I hope you learned a lot. So thanks very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to stop the screen share. If anyone wants that website or Facebook information, we could put it into the chat, or Miria can share it. She has all my information.
Thank you so much, Kathleen, for speaking with us today. That was a really super informative presentation with a lot of really great information. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat below, and I'm sure that Kathleen would be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. So I've been putting tickets in the basket today. Oops. And so we'll pull tomorrow morning for that. Tomorrow we're going to pull at the beginning and then at the end of the presentation, in the beginning for Thursday and at the end for Friday, because nobody wants to meet with me on Saturday. And frankly, I don't want to get up at 7:45 in the a.m. on a Saturday. Sorry, guys. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about college and the real expenses of college. And so it's not just going to be about, what it costs to go to college A or college B. We're going to talk about what it's going to cost you while you're there, and some other considerations that you might have. Okay, we're going to play a cool game. We're going to be kind of interactive. So I am looking forward to that. I love talking about going to college in some ways that you guys can save money while you're there. So I will be sending this video out to the teachers to share with the rest of their classes as soon as this is over. If you guys want to go on Instagram and answer today's question, it should be up there already. If you answer today's question, then the marketing department at Chelsea Groton will be drawing for another gift card from Instagram. So anybody that comments on there, and I will tell you that some days it's been one person that commented, so that one person right off the bat just got the gift card. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to type them into chat. And if not, we will see you tomorrow morning. Oh, here you go, Kathleen. Is it safe to put my Social Security on the tax credit questionnaire when applying for a job?
So I have to be honest with you. So this is from Christine. I got to be honest with you. I'm not familiar with this tax credit questionnaire, but what I will say to you in general, when with your Social Security number, if this is a site, because I want to be careful, because I have a coworker that actually, and this was years ago, so the security settings are much, much tougher now, but who was applying for jobs, and it was on one of those monster.com or one of those things, and he believes his information was compromised that way. But what I want to say here is, if this is a site that you've looked up, and this is, I'm guessing it's an actual business, maybe on their business site, and you're applying for it, one of the keys is you want to make sure that that page is secure, and it should say HTTPS. In fact, I think most websites do now. It also may have that padlock in the corner. The other thing too is you can always call. Most businesses have a human resources department. You can call and ask, and you can express your concerns. But it's hard for me to answer because I'm not familiar with this. I don't want to lead you astray. But in general, when you're applying for a job and they want your social security number, when you're there and in person, they do need it. They do, especially if they're going to hire you because they need to take that out. With the online ones, again, just make sure your device you have all your updates, your device is safe and secure, and that the site you're going to is secure. Okay. And then I see Caleb is asking, what's the best place to keep your social security? I'm guessing you're talking about the actual card. So ask if your family has a safe place where they keep documents. So legal documents. So for instance, my family, we have a safe deposit box at our bank, and we keep our mortgage document, we keep our marriage certificate, the kids' birth certificates, and that's where we keep our social security cards. So the thing is, I know if you're applying for jobs, you don't probably have it memorized. So what you could do is maybe keep it somewhere safe at home, in your room, wherever you keep safe things. Maybe, but don't keep it in your wallet all the time. Just take it with you when you're going there. I remember that's what I used to do. The best thing to do is try to memorize it. But that's what I would say. Don't write the number down on a piece of paper that you might leave somewhere. Okay, I hope that helps. Great questions.
Awesome. All right. If anybody has any other questions, we are happy to answer. If not, we will see you guys tomorrow morning, bright and early at 7:45. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.